Hi there everyone, this is Kate and welcome to the Paid to Dance vlogging series. So Paid to Dance Ash's Story Part 2 is due for release on the 20th of July 2018, and I just decided to put this little blog series together just to give you a little bit of an insight into the creation of these books and this series as a whole. So I'm going to start with this first video, which is going to tell you a little bit about how I got started with Paid to Dance, the series, and with the first book, Paid to Dance Stripping Past and Present, which is here. And yeah, so at the beginning of 2016, I had begun work on what would become Paid to Dance Stripping Past and Present, which is the first book in the Paid to Dance series. It was an idea that I had entertained for a number of years beforehand, but now that I had completed the writing and publishing of The Wilted Rose, which is my very first book, I was now ready to move into this new project. I'd been scribbling down ideas, my early ideas and notes, several years earlier, and originally what is now the first and second book in the series, they were actually going to be one book originally. I was going to have all of the stories that are included in the first book, Stripping Past and Present, all of the stories by dancers, I was going to insert them one each at the front of each chapter of Paid to Dance Ash's Story Part 1, which is this one, and possibly Part 2 as well. But I decided against that. I decided to make them completely separate books because I just sort of thought that it was going to be getting too confusing with, with the first book being completely non-fiction and then Ash's Story Part 1 being creative non-fiction, which is where it is based on a true story, but it's written as a novel. I just thought all the ideas were going to become a little bit confusing, so I decided to separate them into the two books. So yeah, in the first book, in Stripping Past and Present, I have included a part one is a historical review of how exotic entertainment has been a part of cultures around the world pretty much since the dawn of time, pretty much from the belly dancing in ancient Greece and India, to the Can-Can girls of the Moulin Rouge, to the table vivants at the Windmill Theatre, in London, and American Showgirls and the Golden Age of Burlesque, and the geishas in Japan, and also the showgirls that came to Australia as well. There's just been such an eclectic history of exotic entertainment around the world for all through the ages. So I really had a lot of fun putting that part of the book together. That's probably my favourite part of that first book as well. So in part two, that's the part that I have all the stories from women who have worked as exotic dancers in Australia and around the world. So just their stories are very candid. They of working in gentlemen's clubs, and many of them are paying their way through university, funding world travel, and even escaping homelessness and crime. So a lot of the stories are the same in many ways, but they are so vastly different as to the backgrounds that these women came from, what brought them to become exotic dancers. So it's very similar themes, but very, very different themes at the same time, which was very interesting indeed. And then in part three of the book, I chatted to partners, parents of dancers, and also a customer of one of the strip clubs, and also a club manager as well, because what I wanted to do with part one was to just create a really rounded view of this industry, and give everyone a voice. Obviously the dancers play a very major part in this book, but I also wanted to give a voice to those other people that are involved in this industry, whether they're working for it or consuming from it, customers, managers. I was really interested to hear their stories as well. So yeah, I wanted to create a really rounded book. I wanted to represent the various viewpoints of these people, and just give everyone involved a voice as to their perspectives. And I was determined not to allow my own bias to be inserted into the influence of this story. I just wanted to provide the readers with the facts and the insights from this industry and allow them to make up their own minds about how they felt about exotic dancers and the industry that they work in. So that's what I'm all about. I really enjoy doing that as an author and presenting ideas and exploring different perspectives. I just really enjoy that as a writer and presenting that to the reader. So yeah, creating the Paid to Dance series was a very eye-opening experience indeed. It was a bit of a surprise, I think, for my family and friends. It was a bit of a different idea to a lot of the stories that I'd written before. But it was a story that I felt was very interesting and needed to be told. So that's why I went ahead with that with no shame. And I've just had some fantastic feedback about the series overall. People have come back with lots of different positive comments, and just generally fascinated by the stories and the insights that are provided, and so it's just been absolutely awesome to receive them. So I want to take this opportunity to really thank everyone that has read the books and has provided your feedback as well. It's been really amazing, and I'm really glad that you have enjoyed reading this series as much as I enjoyed putting it all together. So in the next post, I'm going to be exploring, going into a little bit more depth of the history of exotic dance, which is also included in Paid to Dance Stripping Past and Present, and yeah, just going through some of those really interesting representations of exotic entertainment through cultures throughout the ages. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video of the Paid to Dance series.